Good afternoon once again. We will start our session 2 of our conference. I'm Nina Baluja. I serve on the board of Kidney Cancer Canada as your director for Ontario. I now have the pleasure of introducing Bonny Beswick, who's our first speaker this afternoon. Bonny is the caregiver of her husband Jerry, a patient with stage 4 kidney cancer. She's here to tell her story from a caregiver's perspective.
Well, it's really great to see everybody here today. Kidney Cancer Canada has made a tremendous difference in the life of my husband and I when we're dealing with his disease. And if you haven't already found that out in your own life, I'm sure that you will in the years to come. So we're talking today about empowerment, engagement, and I want to relate my story as a caregiver back to that whole theme. And I met Jerry, who is to become my husband, about 12 years ago on August 29th, 1999. He was an active, fit, vibrant man. He golfed, played competitive slow pitch, and was actively involved in the oil patch in Alberta. Keeps coming back, doesn't it? We met as the result of some very, very persistent matchmaking by a mutual friend of ours. In August 2004, while he was golfing in a club tournament, he had some severe pain and blood in his urine. I'm sure this is a familiar story. So during the visit to the emergency room doc came to us and said, yes, he has a kidney stone. And that's the good news. The bad news is that he has a mass in his kidney. So by the October of that year, he had his left kidney removed laparoscopically. How many have had a left kidney removed? And how many have had a right kidney removed? More left than right, okay. Just earlier we were talking about how many people have had left kidneys versus right kidneys, and everybody that I know has had a kidney removed has had a left one. So anyway, just as an aside. So he had the left kidney removed laparoscopically, and we waited a very long 2 weeks to get the pathologist report. When we finally did get to the urologist, he said that yes, it was renal cell carcinoma, and but they thought that he had the tumor totally removed. So over the next few years, he went back to the urologist and had alternating years. He would have a chest and abdominal CT or a X-ray or a CT scan. But then in year 5, 2009, life became a little bit more complicated. In August, while warming up to play his Monday night slow pitch games, he had a heart attack. So 3 procedures later, he was the proud owner of 2 cardiac stents. Then in October, at his 5-year checkup with the urologist, we found that the cancer had returned to 7 different sites in his abdomen, liver, etc. Also during that year, I had eye surgery. My last remaining brother became ill and died with liver cancer or liver failure. I continued to try to find a comfortable relationship with my 2 stepdaughters, and the oldest of those 2 got married. 2009 was very, very stressful. So as we're talking about empowerment, engagement, and equipping yourself with the tools for your own health, I can tell you right now, none of those words could be used to describe how I felt about myself, my life, or the situation that we were in. I was a wreck. At the time, I was working for WestJet. And although I tried, I just couldn't keep it together at work. So I finally went on short-term disability. But after 3 months, I started getting a handle on my emotions and started getting things in place. So I made the decision at that time that the most important thing I could do was to quit work and spend time with Jerry. So he started, at this time, he had already started on a 50 milligram dose of Sutent. And I was fixated on a statistic that we got, and I think it was from a resident at one of our first hospital visits, but I can't quite remember who it was. Anyway, I asked them about how long we could typically expect somebody in Jerry's situation to live. Maybe that's a question I shouldn't have asked. He said 11 months. So that was about 330 days. This was in November. Sorry. Christmas wasn't very happy that year. But after the first CT scan, it was good news. All of the tumors had either remained the same or had shrunk. So finally, as we were walking down the hall in the Tom Baker Cancer Center, I could take a deep breath. And I think that was probably the first deep breath that we could take for 5 months. So Jerry is still on Sutent, and he's got on a reduced dose now of 37.5 milligrams. After 28 months on Sutent, we're finding that the tumors, although there are no new tumors, some of the tumors have increased in size, about 20%. So that's not good news, but I am terribly relieved to know that there are some options. And as everybody in this room knows, not too many years ago, there were no options at all. So research is incredibly important. So where am I finding the power on this journey? And I think if you'd asked me 2 years ago, 1 year ago, or maybe even 6 months ago, I would have said, I don't have any power in this situation. But as I think about it more, I think of it in terms of a power and the sum of a whole lot of variables. The first three of these variables, one is knowledge, and that's doing the research, asking the questions, taking notes, getting everything you can to know about the disease, so that you know that there are options, and you know that it's not the grim situation that you first thought it was. The second one is trust and confidence in medical partners. And our medical team is without exception exceptional. The third is the love and support of family members and friends. And there's a couple of other variables that I'm really working hard to increase their value in this whole formula. And one is talking to people, talking to someone at arm's length. Could be a professional, could be your sister's dog, but just someone that doesn't have any vested interest or any emotional tie to the situation. So you don't have to watch the words that you use. You're not going to hurt their feelings. And spirituality, I think, is a really important part of this question. And for me, it's not religion, but it is spirituality. So that's another thing that I'm trying to incorporate in this whole formula. The last variable, I'm going to call it a variable, but it's really not a variable anymore for me. It's a constant, and that's Kidney Cancer Canada. Kidney Cancer Canada has provided us with credible and current information. It has the discussion forum where you can ask those questions, get some answers from people who've walked in your shoes. You know that they're conducting or they're putting on the website result or clinical studies that you can take part in. They're doing tremendous work. We are doing tremendous work on advocacy and getting drug funding across Canada, which is particularly important if you're looking at further options down the line to second and third line treatments. And finally, wherever possible and whenever resources allow, we're doing the research or we're helping fund the research. So Kidney Cancer Canada is so much part of the formula that I use for the power. So Jerry's still an active, fit, and robust man. Now, not any one of those three as much as when I met him back in 1999, but I think I've probably changed quite a bit in those 12 years as well. So what do? We golf. Jerry's back playing slow pitch after that broken ankle last August when he slid into third base. We love spending time with our three grandkids, 5, 4, and 7 months. And Jerry's chomping at the bit to take them out camping, playing golf, and trying to teach them how to play ball. We travel, and we've got more trips planned than we know what to do with. When he's on his cycle and he's feeling crappy, literally, he gets down. He's very easily depressed. He's very moody. And it's hard for me as a caregiver to always be the positive one. It's hard to be the one to try to find something for him to eat. It changes on a month-to-month, a day-to-day, an hour, minute-to-minute basis. It's hard to be the one who, you're looking at the food guide, and we went to visit to one nutritionist, and we were asking, how can we do this? And she's talking about incorporating whipping cream when you have mashed potatoes. She's talking about all of these terrible things. And, I'm looking and going, what's the balance there? You have your half of the fridge and I have my half. On one hand, there's very little fiber on one hand of the fridge and there's a lot on the other hand. So you have to balance that as a caregiver. But I find myself thinking more about how he feels than about how I feel, or more about how he wants things, or I want or need. So there's that dichotomy, but it seems so often as a caregiver, your emphasis becomes on the person you're taking care of. And when I'm having my little pity party, I bemoan my fate as a caregiver. But while I didn't get to choose this fate, I think we can use the formula I can use the formula that I talked about to try to deal with the cards that I've been dealt with a little bit better. As of today, Jerry's been on treatment for 855 days, which is a far sight longer than the original 330 days we were given. And every day is a gift. So, thank you for listening. I hope you find today inspirational, interesting, and full of useful information. I hope you feel welcome and comfortable in gathering more information, sharing your story, and sharing the resources that KCC has to offer. And I may be stealing some words from Catherine as she comes up later on. I hope you have found that KCC has given you something. And I hope, if you find it has been worthwhile, I hope that you can give back to us, sharing our mission, sharing your time, and contributing to this organization. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bonny.